Today we're talking about a game that's so bad, I didn't even get any gameplay for it. So, Civilization Beyond Earth was released on October 24th, 2014, and it was developed by Fraxis Games and published by 2K. Now, I've been a big fan of Civilization for a very, very long time, the franchise, but I haven't really gotten into it until about the middle of the lifespan of Civ 5. I really like Civ 5. I really like it a lot, and I played countless hours into that game. But I've always been a fan of it since the Civ Revolution on Xbox 360, which came out in like 2008. So yeah, I've always been a huge fan of Civilization and the way it does things, and it's a very, very good game. At least Civ 5 was. But today on Disappointing Game number 1, we are going to be talking about Civilization Beyond Earth and why it's a disappointing game. Now, disappointing games are games that had promise or that had hype behind it or something like that. Because Civilization, the entire franchise was very well known as Civilization. You know, this is Civilization. This is what it was like to be whatever back whenever, you know. So it was a very, very well-rounded franchise. It was very, very respected. But Civilization Beyond Earth was not a very good addition to the franchise. Not only was it unneeded after Civilization 5. I mean, Civilization 5, I'm pretty sure they're still making millions of dollars off of Civ 5. At least they're still making money off of it, because I mean, I love Civ 5. Civ 5 is a lot of fun, and it's very in-depth, and you can win however you want, or you can lose however you want. So it's, yeah, like I said, it's a lot of fun. But anyway, moving into the bad section here, we're going to talk about the bad first on disappointing games today. And the first bad thing I have down my little note thing here is that you have to research settlers. So in Civilization 5, settlers came with your city. So you founded your first city, and then settlers came with it, you know? So you could make a warrior, make a scout, make a settler, go settle another city, blah, 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 blah. You can expand however quickly you want to, or you can stay as compact as you want to with the biggest army. Something like that. But in Civilization Beyond Earth, you have to research settlers, which is slightly annoying, because I feel like they're supposed to be part of the game. Like, I don't feel like you have to go to a special barracks or special school to become a pioneer or something, you know? Not pioneer, yeah, pioneer. So, I don't know, I feel like that's not really necessary. And then, civilizations themselves, like as a whole, they come randomly to an extent. Like, you'll be on your turn, you'll end your turn, and then it'll go into like this little pre-rendered cutscene that shows like a ship that flies down and like lands, and then this girl or guy comes to talk to you. It's an interesting concept, but the thing about Civilization 5 was that it was all about exploring in the early game, and this kind of takes that part out of it. Like there's like at one point I was playing, and the reason I didn't get gameplay, by the way, was because this game was just so hard to play. I played for like a good hour, and nothing happened. Nothing happened in like that good hour. Like, civilizations came, and I tried to explore, and just nothing interesting happened. So I decided to give you guys the gameplay that you're watching now, because I didn't want you guys watching me move around troops for the next 10 minutes of your time. So anyway, civilizations do come randomly, and like most of the time they'll be like halfway across the map, and they'll be like, oh, hello, how are you? Well, that's not the point. The point of civilization, especially in the early game, is to go exploring and figure out what's going on and what the world is like. You know, it's exploring the world, and, you know. So but the random civilization kind of concept really takes the fun out of that, and there's really no reason to explore to a certain extent, because people are going to do it for you. So, and another thing about early game is that some of the aliens are OP on early game, and there's like this big worm thing that literally can one-hit your soldiers at the very beginning in like the first maybe 20-30 turns. They can probably one-hit your soldiers, and even beyond that if you don't have decent people. So that is a big, I mean, I get that there's just supposed to be barbarians, but they're supposed to be buffed, which is fine. I don't mind buffing barbarians, because they're kind of what you kind of feed off of and what you get XP off of in the early game. So I don't mind having buffed barbarians, but the fact that they can literally one-hit you at the very beginning of the game is not cool. You should at least be able to put up a fight. So the thing about barbarians in Civ 5 was that they kind of grew along with you, and the aliens do to an extent too. I just believe that they're kind of set one step ahead at the very beginning to give you a challenge, which I don't think is very necessary, because you already have other players to worry about, and you don't need to be worrying about aliens that already inhabit the planet. I mean, a cool thing about the aliens though was that you could choose to domesticate the wildlife on the planet, or you could choose to what was it, like, destroy them. Basically, it was basically just destroy them was the other option, and I chose to destroy them, which maybe not have been the best decision. So yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure. Like, that was a really cool idea that you could choose what to do with the wildlife, but I don't think that maybe I didn't make the right decision, I guess, is what I'm kind of trying to say. Maybe I just didn't make the right decision. So next on the list is there are only like 4 culture trees in this civilization, as opposed to like 8 or 10. I can't remember exactly how much in Civ 5, which is really cool. You had freedom, you had tradition, you had, what else did you have? You had so many other things that you could do in Civ 5, but here you only have 4 main trees, but they're very broad, so I'm not sure if that's exactly like they just decided to get rid of a whole bunch of them. Like, there's a military tree, there's a culture tree, there is a science tree, and there is a gold tree or something. I don't know what the other one is, but that made them very broad, and they had different skills in each one, whatever you want to call them, to buff you in different ways. Like, one of the big ones from Civ 5 that I remember was when you did the military one, autocracy, I don't remember how to say it. Every courthouse you built gave +1 or 2 happiness, which is really, really cool. I like that one a lot, but there's no big one like that in here. I mean, once you get to the bottom, there's some pretty big buffs. So that's something to work to, but you know, there's none that you just like, oh, you unlocked 70, whatever, you got 20 skills or whatever. Here you go, here's a free one or something like that. And another thing I want to say, since I just touched on happiness really quick, I want to say that happiness was changed to healthiness, and I don't like it a lot. It was kind of annoying. Because I was like, when I got in, it was kind of clear that it was happiness, healthy equals happy, but it wasn't like, I mean, happiness was good. I liked happiness, the system, and it worked the same system. It just feels, coming from Civ 5, it felt like it was just kind of reskinned to make it a new game, to have one more point on being new. So, and speaking about reskinned, I feel like most of the game is just reskinned Civ 5. It's honestly, when you play enough of it, it feels like it's just there to make money. And it's just there, like if it's kind of like if Call of Duty was to come out with another Call of Duty 1 year just because, or like Battlefield Hardline. It's honestly just there to make money, to be honest with you. And there's no real point in it. It's unneeded. So yeah, that's another point I want to touch on. So it's reskinned and it's unneeded. It's obvious. It's needed. It's probably needed for the developers, but I don't think it's needed at a consumer standpoint. So it just doesn't feel like anything's new. I mean, it has a texture pack. It's a built-in texture pack for Civ 5, and they're making you pay $60 for it. They have an addition of orbital units in the game, and it kind of toggles this HUD that makes, like, the one that I got in the tutorial was it made you produce more solar out of a certain tile and stuff. They're kind of cool. I mean, they're kind of they're actually very confusing, to be honest with you. They're not very intuitive, and they don't really give you a tutorial on it either, so it's just kind of you to kind of figure it out yourself. It's a kind of cool thing to make you figure it out yourself, but I'm not sure if it was worth it in the long run. And there's one last thing I'd like to touch on. That there's this gas in the game called I don't even know what it's called. It's amazingly hard to pronounce, and it's amazingly annoying. What it basically does is if your unit stands on it for more than one turn, or for a turn, it takes 10 health away, and you can get it like orbital units that will take away all of it in the area. But it's very, very annoying, and it's the funniest thing because it's freaking hard to pronounce. Like, it's like, oh, well, I was playing Civ 5 the other day, or Civ Beyond Earth the other day, and I got stuck in blah, 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 blah. It's like, I can't pronounce that. So, there's just no reason for it. And it's just honestly to have another addition to the game. +1 in new game points, that it just doesn't have enough of. Moving on to the good section of disappointing games, the tech web system, you guys heard me touch on it earlier, is actually a really, really good system. It's it basically has like these bigger branches that are like the bigger things like robotics and biology and all these things. And then there is the leaves, which are smaller things in it that let you create more happiness in a city, or more energy per unit, or something like that. Stuff like that. There's also a system where you can upgrade your units depending on how much XP they have, which it was there in Civ 5, but they go a little bit more in depth. So you can have like these commanders and these rogues and all this stuff, but they're all different irrigations of soldiers. So you make this soldier and then you level them up a certain amount, and you can make this commander, you can make this rogue, or you can make this bounty hunter, whatever you want to call them. So I think it's a very good system. That one was really interesting. It didn't give you an actual tutorial on it though, which was kind of confusing, but it was a very, very cool thing that they added in. So I feel like they should have capitalized on that a little bit more than they did. Before you even start the game, there is a thing where you can pick your cargo, and you can pick your people, or you can pick your technology stuff. All the things that you're going to bring with you on this space trip to a different planet. Now, this system is really, really cool, because in Civ 5, there was mods that let you pick what you wanted to start out with, besides a pioneer and a soldier, or whatever it was. This kind of gets rid of that need for the mod. It's like, if you want to start out with 2 soldiers, you start with 2 soldiers. If you want to start with a pioneer and a explorer or whatever, you can do that. And then if you want your city to produce more energy on the first 10 turns, you can do that. You just have to depend on what cargo you check out. And you want your first city to produce 2 more stunts in all the other cities, you go for it, you know. So that is really very, very cool, and I like that a lot. So congratulations on that. And the tech web system, good job on that too. That was really cool, and it was because it let you go your own way. Now, obviously, just like in the tech tree, you get like the basic 8 researches, and then you can kind of go down one branch, and then there's a militaristic branch, and there's a culture branch, and then there's like a science branch or whatever, you know, but for different victories. But in this, it's just kind of you know, you get the ones around the first one, and then you can go in your direction, and they all connect, and it's very, very good. I like it a lot. And the last thing about the good here is it's a cool idea, kind of. If they were to do it differently, if they were to do Civilization Beyond Earth differently, it could have been a good game. If they didn't try to reskin Civ 5, it could have been a good game. And it was a decent game if you didn't play Civ 5. If you played Civ 5, don't give Civ Beyond Earth. It's not worth it. No matter how much you paid for Civ 5, it's not worth it. Or how much you're gonna pay for Civilization Beyond Earth, it's not worth it. So that was Disappointing Games #1. So thank you all for watching. Please don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. And I enjoy doing this kind of content. So I'll see you guys in the next video.